The rains had started early that year in the small town of Devigar. Hidden beneath the overgrown banyan trees and time-worn streets stood the majestic Talkies, once the pride of the town. Built in 1932, it had welcomed royalty, freedom fighters, and film fanatics alike. The crimson velvet curtains, Art Deco interiors, and golden chandeliers spoke of a time long gone, a time when the hall echoed with applause and laughter. Now, it stood silent, forgotten, a graveyard of celluloid dreams. But that silence was about to break. On a mist-laden October evening, a poster mysteriously appeared outside the locked iron gates of the Majestic. One last show, October 31st, final screening at midnight. Entry free. There was no name, no indication of who put it up. The local paper hadn't covered it, nor had the government made any announcement. But the poster glowed faintly under the streetlight. Some said it hadn't been pasted at all, it had just appeared. Curiosity spread like wildfire. Youngsters on bikes joked about it. Elders shook their heads, warning against it. Old-timers remembered strange tales, how, in the 70s, a fire had broken out during a horror film screening, trapping dozens inside. People died, and their charred shadows were said to be still etched on the back walls of the cinema hall. After that, shows continued for a while, but something had changed. Projectors malfunctioned. People claimed they saw unknown faces in empty seats. Then, in the mid-90s, Majestic shut down abruptly. For over 2 decades, it had slept. But now the doors were opening. October 31st, 11:45 p.m. A group of 8 people stood outside the gate, each drawn by something they couldn't explain. Rohit, a college student obsessed with the paranormal. Nimra, a photojournalist chasing urban legends. Ajay, a former projectionist who once worked at the Majestic. Mrs. D'Souza, an elderly widow with tearful eyes. Vikas and Ria, a couple trying to rekindle their failing relationship. Dev, a drunk drifter who claimed he used to come here with his father. Anika, a quiet girl who said nothing but stared at the hall as if she knew it. The gates creaked open at midnight, as if sensing their presence. No one was inside. No staff, no guards, just darkness and dust. The box office was abandoned, but the power inside flickered to life. Golden lights bathed the once regal lobby. Posters from decades ago lined the walls, all in pristine condition. There was no trace of decay. It was as if the cinema had been waiting for them. They entered the hall, and the door closed behind them. The air inside was thick with nostalgia and something else, something colder. Anika whispered, "We shouldn't be here." No one heard her. They took their seats. The curtain parted on its own. The projector started. The film began to roll. But it wasn't a film anyone had ever seen. The grainy footage showed a black and white reel of a crowded cinema, the very same hall. Packed with viewers. But as the camera zoomed in, the audience didn't move. Their eyes were hollow, their faces frozen. A child's voice echoed in the background, humming a lullaby. Then the screen flickered. The image distorted. A high-pitched scream pierced the room. Suddenly, a woman in the second row stood up. Not from the screen, but from the hall itself. Everyone gasped. She was transparent. Dressed in a 1950s sari, her eyes wide with terror, she turned to the audience and whispered, "They're here." And then vanished. Panic broke out. Ajay stood, trembling. That was Meena. I knew her. She died in the fire. Rohit tried to document everything on his phone, but the screen was blank. Static. The lights in the hall dimmed. The temperature dropped. One by one, the spirits of former viewers appeared, some sobbing, some screaming, some with burnt, blackened faces, and some just staring at the living. They filled the aisles, the balcony, and the stage. Whispered voices rose in chorus. "Watch with us. Stay with us. One last show. Forever." Mrs. D'Souza clutched her locket. "My husband died here in '74. I felt him pull me back here. He wanted me to join him." The exit doors were gone. The lobby was no longer visible. It was just a wall. The screen shifted again, now showing each of the 8 people. Footage of them in the last 24 hours. Private moments. Confessions. Fears. Regrets. The film knew everything. Nimra tried to smash the screen. Her hand went through it. A gust of cold air pulled her inside. She screamed, but her voice faded, replaced by the sound of a projector whirring. Her place in the seat was empty. Dev got up, mumbling about his father, calling his name. A child's hand grabbed his. He smiled, tears in his eyes. Then both faded into shadow. Vikas and Ria, trying to escape, ran up to the balcony. But the floor vanished beneath them. They fell into darkness. Their screams echoed for only a second. Rohit turned to Anika. "You? You knew, didn't you?" She nodded. "My grandmother died here. She said the cinema would call me when it was time. I've seen this dream since I was 10. Ajay, the last one standing, cried, "Why us? What do you want?" The spirits turned to him, eyes glowing. "We were forgotten. We lived in the shadows of reals and dreams. Now we want to be remembered. You came, and now you'll stay." The projector grew louder. It lit up the entire hall. The screen flashed white. And then, silence. November 1st, 6 a.m. The sun rose over Devigar. Locals walked past the majestic, now crumbling again. The poster was gone. The gates locked with rusted chains. No one had entered. Or so they thought. Inside, the hall was filled with silent viewers. All seats occupied. 8 new faces among them. Eyes fixed on a screen that no longer played anything. But if you stood quietly outside and pressed your ear to the wall, you could still hear a projector running.